Vietnam 2018, Part 15, Hue. When you enter the imperial city within the Hue citadel, you first come across the Tai Hua Palace, in which official receptions were organized for the emperor. As I've mentioned in my previous text, the Nguyen dynasty ruled Vietnam from here, either realistically or just formally, from 1802 until 1945. Within the palace, which is in fact a simple single-story building with one large room in which there is a throne, but no photos allowed, it is also possible to watch a short video with a digitalized presentation of what it all used to look like in the past. Although today there are several buildings that have already been reconstructed or are currently being reconstructed, a lot was destroyed, first during the war with the French, and then the Americans put the final touch on the imperial city by occasionally throwing napalm bombs here. In several places around the site, it is possible to see ruins in a very crumbly state, and that actually provides a clear picture of what it all must have looked like when the war was finally over. In some parts of the site, there are clearings that are now covered in grass, but it is also possible to see at several other locations that the Vietnamese are working hard at the restoration of the imperial city, and I believe it is only a matter of time when all will be reconstructed. We visited the Royal Theatre, and we also made a break for a coffee in the Co Ha Gardens. After a nice break, that was very welcome since it was rather warm with high humidity, we walked among the bonsai trees and climbed a small elevation from where we had a nice view at the garden and farther towards the rest of the site. Then we went to the Emperor's reading room, and after that we came to the place where in the past was the location of the Purple Forbidden City. That space used to serve for the exclusive use by the Emperor and his family, and other than them, only the eunuchs were allowed access. Nowadays, it is mostly a clearing covered in grass, with a couple of small pavilions and some decorative details. Walking around the imperial city, I couldn't help but think that even if one wanted to see, if I can put it, only what we saw, the site really deserves one entire day to be able to visit it all, including a leisurely walk and taking photos, as well as a break or two. We did not want to hurry, since we preferred to visit thoroughly everything that was there at the site, and we did it eventually. We visited the Trong San residence and the Dien To residence, but we also walked around different semi-open hallways and passages, entering into enclosed spaces, passing through fantastically decorated gates, and we also visited the Hung To Mieu temple. Still, our main goal was to get to the Te To Mieu temple complex. Around a spacious central courtyard, there is the Te Tom Yu Temple itself, built in 1821 to 1822, for the purpose of worshipping ancestors. Opposite of it there is the Hien Lam Pavilion, in front of which there are 9 dynastic urns cast in 1822, which were dedicated to the first 9 emperors from the Nguyen dynasty. Finally, we went out through the fantastically decorated New Mon Gate, which shows 4 sacred animals: dragon, unicorn, turtle, and phoenix; 4 sacred symbols: apricot, orchid, chrysanthemum, and bamboo, as well as many other ornamental elements which all carry some specific meaning related to the Oriental philosophy contained in Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. Because of this leisurely sightseeing, we found ourselves in a partial problem when, around the middle of the afternoon, we realized we had little time left and still more sights to visit. Whoever said that Hue was not very interesting? So we took a taxi and first went to the Buddhist pagoda Tien Mu, which along with the citadel is one of the symbols of Hue. Although the pagoda is small and some 3 or 4 kilometers west of the city, we were both of the opinion that it should not be missed. When you climb the access staircase leading from the street, in addition to the octagonal tower, there are also 2 smaller hexagonal pavilions. One contains a 1715 stele that is placed onto the back of a giant turtle, which is a symbol of longevity. In the other pavilion there is a bell that is over 2 tons, and it is said that when it is tolled, its sound spreads over 10 kilometers. We didn't try it. Instead, we entered the inner courtyard, and by the time we reached the central temple, a monk chimed against a heavy metal pot, and that created a fabulous sound that could be heard right there in front of the temple. If you would like to have a listen to that, go to my blog, the link is provided in the description, and look up the video recording. Anyway, after this brief visit, we transferred to the south side of the Perfume River because this is where the tombs of the Nguyen dynasty rulers are scattered. As I've said, with the ticket for the visit to the citadel, we also bought tickets for visiting 3 most important tombs, but they are not located in the same place. They are all in the same general area, southwest from the city, but a couple of kilometers one from the other. We agreed with the taxi driver that he should take us to one that was farthest away, and that was the tomb of Emperor Min Mang. As it turned out, we got there just half an hour before the closing. Still, even this half an hour was enough to visit the site, and it was truly impressive. The place where the tomb was built simply exuded harmony. These tombs were often built during the lifetime of the ruler, and sometimes they even lived at the sites, or at least used them as, if I can say, summer residences. Still, this was not the case with the tomb of Min Mang, and it was built by the heir, Emperor Thieu Tri, This complex comprises a number of buildings, terraces, pools and staircases, all arranged along a straight line, finally leading to the emperor's sepulchre. Still, the tomb itself is available to the public only once a year, and this time we could only get as far as the wall that surrounds it. What was really nice about the fact that we got so late to this site, which is one of the more popular ones, was that there were actually very few visitors, and thus it was easier to imagine how this place with so much tranquility and harmony was selected for the, if I can say, eternal resting place of the earthly remains of a ruler. Just as we were finishing with our visit, when the site itself was being closed, we actually realized that the other tombs would be closing at the same time, so we simply returned to Hue. On our way back, we realized something very important was going on, something that was followed by the entire Vietnamese nation, glued to the TV screens in many cafes we passed by on our way to the center of the city. The good side of this was that it was less crowded in the streets, but when we entered the city and got close to our hotel, we came across an incredible situation. Our taxi almost could not pass through a street on account of numerous motorcycles that were simply standing right there in the middle of the street while their drivers were looking at a particularly large TV screen in one of the cafes seen from that spot. By the time we reached our hotel, it had become completely clear that it was something that absolutely delighted the entire nation, small children, the elderly, not to mention the younger generations. So we found out that this was all about the win of the Vietnamese football selection and their qualification for the finals of the 2018 AFC Under-23 Championship. Having quickly left the surplus things at the hotel, we walked over to a nearby restaurant to have a dinner, while the rooftop balcony where we sat provided us with an ideal viewpoint for observing how this nation celebrated their football success. Other than being infinitely entertaining, it was just as much deafening. From our seats on the balcony, we really enjoyed the merriment that was surrounding us. I found it particularly cute how the streets used by vehicles were also used as if they were a picnic area or a park. Look at one of the photos in my blog. While motorbikes and cars are passing, a group of young people were trying for a couple of minutes to take up the right pose in order to get a perfect photo. And there was another sight which caught my eye, and I followed attentively how things developed about it. This concerned the roasting of a suckling pig, the Vietnamese style. Have a look at the video that can also be found in my blog, which shows a few phases in the thermal processing of a quartered piglet. From the first to the last shot, it took exactly 45 minutes, which I, of course, cut down to a minute.